What I'm about to talk about has to deal with gangs. As you can see, my face is obscured. But anyway, this isn't about me. I don't want to read a whole bunch of nonsense saying, well, it has to do with where they live, where they're from, or it's not their fault, their parents weren't around. And last but not least, my favorite, they do it to feel accepted. These are all cop-outs that are obviously trying to get around the underlying issues as to why these otherwise good kids turn to a life of crime and terrorism and violence. I was born and raised in San Francisco. I now live elsewhere, but still in California. And the neighborhood in which I grew up wasn't the safest, but surely wasn't the most dangerous. A lot of people who join gangs tend to live in pretty bad neighborhoods. However, I see a lot of people who live in these places and don't turn to crime and random acts of violence to achieve their goals of happiness. I often drive to San Francisco and see how bad things have gotten in my old neighborhood. Just the other day, I saw 3 guys beating up one guy who wasn't even dressed like a thug or anything. They beat him pretty bad and ran off with his stuff. The perpetrators who did this were about 16 or 17 years of age. Sometimes I watch TV and find myself watching shows on Nat Geo or other channels. And many times on those channels, I'll see shows that are based on gangs, usually from around the world. Unfortunately, most if not all the gangs on those shows come from either Africa or Latin America. This bothers me, because I am Latino, and these punks are giving us a bad reputation. You hear that? You're giving us a bad name. Why do people want to live like this? I know you're probably thinking, well, that's an ignorant thing for me to say, but actually it's not. I don't understand why they choose to go through life intimidating and killing people. Is it laziness? Are they too inept to work like everyone else? I understand a lot of these people can't find work, but that's no reason to rob people of their hard-earned money. The neighborhood I currently reside in is pretty decent, has very low crime, but I still see residents of this community idolizing gangbangers. It really makes me sick, and it makes no sense. They're living in a decent area, devoid of gangs, yet here these kids are trying to mimic terrorists. And yes, I said terrorists. Just because they don't walk down the street carrying AK-47s, RPGs, and ski masks and chanting Allah Akbar doesn't mean they're not terrorists. The word terrorist in its purest form of terminology simply means to terrorize. And is this not what they do? I'd be lying if I said they didn't scare me, because they do. A lot. When I see a police officer, I feel great respect for them. And a cop carries a gun, well actually 2, and often has a shotgun and an M16 assault rifle in their car. But I'm not scared of them. In fact, I appreciate them. You don't see police officers robbing people, well at least not in the United States, but you do see gang members robbing people. And the single most terrifying aspect of these thugs is the complete lack of respect for law enforcement. I mean, they are more than just disrespectful. They have absolutely no fear of being caught, or in some horrific cases, shooting at cops. Now, if cops can't sway these criminals into not committing senseless crimes, who the hell can?